I rather like that. Yeah, it's not sticky. Hi guys, I'm Tracy and welcome to today's video. If I did put that clip in the beginning, that was the Kebo 6051, J6051. So I wanted to make a Hakuhodo video about the brushes that I rarely do use because, you know, over the past couple years I haven't recommended them, but that doesn't mean that these are not good. These are all very good brushes. It's just that, you know, my preferences do not align with the performance and the design of the brush. So I did want to show it to you guys. I know there's a lot of you trying to, you know, decide what to get before the price increase. So I'm going to show you guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 brushes. I'm going to demo them, and then there's a couple that I just didn't really have an opportunity to use that I'll be showing you close-ups of. So let's just get started. I'm gonna insert a demo of the S5555. I know I did demo this in a foundation brush video, but not in a Hakuhodo video. But I also did want to show you the vermilion handle because, let's face it, that's the main reason I got this brush. So if you are looking for a face brush in the vermilion series, me personally, I kind of wish I could trade my J110 in for the S110, but I didn't want to buy an S110 when I already had that style. And I know the the S531 is also another popular one. I've actually felt that in the showroom, and that one is just a little too dense. I just knew I wasn't gonna really use it, but I knew I was gonna use this. And I love putting my foundation on with this brush. And I do think this part of the brush is very good. It's you can use it to buff. I actually tried that on camera, and I also used it to stamp on this side. And I think both sides came out equally as well. One little downside, if you are gonna get this and you are gonna use it regularly, you are probably gonna wear down this part sooner than the handle. Like, this handle is so well made, and I'll actually show it to you guys up close. See, it's got this like little like an indigo color, and it says Misako. Misako. It's a very common Japanese female name, and the number is in gold, and it's going to vary in size depending on what brush you get. And then I'll also show the eye brush that I got in, I haven't actually used this yet, in the S series. And it's kind of small for me to read, but I'm pretty sure that says Misako as well. I don't know what the significance of that name is, but very, very beautiful. I got the 150 style. It's slightly angled, but I won't go too much into this. I showed it in my last haul, but I do really love it, and I haven't had these too long, so I can't speak to how they wear, but I kind of am a little sad that I have to wash this so much because I do use it for liquid products. So that's the only downside. You know, this might not have the lifespan of, you know, a powder brush. So just keep that in mind if you're considering a handle like this. Okay, so the next brush that I want to talk about that I haven't used for years is I just use these, so they're going to be dirty. The J5533. This is a very popular brush. They make it in a squirrel version, which I don't have, but this is not a shape that I use or really like using, but it does work. I just prefer a tapered eye brush of this size, so, or a flat, you know, completely flat brush. But it does work. It did lay down. I put like the first shade, and then I did my transition shade with this, and it worked just fine. So I think this is a good brush if you prefer this shape of a brush. So that's a J5533. Now I also showed the medium Yachio brush, the tapered one. I believe they call it purple. So I just got these because they were just so cute, and you know, they're not terribly expensive, but I really never got much use out of this one, mainly because the shape isn't that unique. The hairs aren't that soft, and these tend to shed. I don't know if it's just the ones I got, but this domed one I've had for longer, and this one sheds a lot. So I actually don't use either one of these, but I do know a lot of people that really like these. I just personally don't. You know, I do like this shape, but I have brushes that are softer and that don't shed, so I just don't recommend these two. If you want a flat domed brush like this, I recommend the J210 over this one. But this one I do hesitate recommending it because I've only used this for cream blush and cream contour, and for a while it was the only one I used, and it shed a lot. It's like, I can even tell it's not even as dense as it was. But while I did use it, it was a fabulous brush for that. I personally don't use a brush this dense for powder, but I know a lot of people do use it for that. But I didn't demo this one because I knew the hairs were going to just start coming all off. And the next one is the S133, a flat horsehair packing brush, and it looks like this, and I really enjoy it. I don't think it's that much better than other packing brushes, and I just, because of my eye shape, I do tend to gravitate towards a smaller brush. Like, this is the J242. This is probably, if I want to cover my entire lid, this is probably a better size. But I do really like this S series within the black, so I got this, and I really do like this with the white hairs. But it's just a little bit big for my needs, but I do use it. I'll just give you a comparison. This is 242, the 133. And then I can compare it to the G5505, which is, I think they're the same shape, maybe a tad bit shorter. So the G5505. I think as far as performance goes, I prefer the G5505. I think it's a tiny bit thicker, and so it holds on to a little bit more product. I'm not sure if that's why though, but you know, this one is fairly new, but I think if you like the look of this, then you should get it. But if you're hoping that it's going to perform any different than, you know, these that they have, I think you might be disappointed. So, you know, get this for the appearance, but don't expect, you know, anything groundbreaking as far as performance goes. The J509, and this one's fairly new. This is one of my bigger, denser powder brushes. There's this whole comment on the Facebook page about how, like, those of us with a lot of brushes, we like these big fluffy brushes but hardly use them. And this is a good example of that. The main reason I don't use this is just a little bit too heavy. So when I powder my face, and this is pretty much mainly going to be for like an all over powder, I feel like it kind of applies product a little too heavy for me because, you know, my amateur skin, so it makes it a little cakey, a little bit older looking. I much prefer, you know, a brush like this, the Bisotto BP2, because it's floppier, the hairs are softer. Oh yeah, and this one has synthetic in it, and that probably contributes to the heavier application, but it is a beautiful brush. I recommend getting the 104 version, the J104, because that one, the last I checked, that one is pure goat hair. I meant to get that one. I think it's like the J104 or the B104. I'm not sure what they're calling it nowadays, but I accidentally got this one because they're the exact same price, they're the exact same shape, they look identical, and you know, I think that's one of the reasons Hakuhodo, I mean, they say that's one of the reasons they're cutting back on what kind of styles they're producing, because they have a lot of brushes that are so close to each other that it doesn't make sense for them to make all these different styles. And I think this is a very good example of that. But if you do want a heavy powder coverage and you want something to do that really fast, I think you would like this. I would just get the 104 style instead of the 509. Okay. And then one more, and I've had this was my very first Hakuhodo order. That's the K022. And you know, I liked it because it was, at the time I didn't have a lot of brushes and I didn't have a large goat hair brush yet, so that's why I went ahead and got this. But when it comes to applying bronzer, it's not the best. So if you see in the demo, I'm going to put bronzer on the side, and I felt like it kind of did things a little unevenly and it was a little bit harder for me to buff out, but I did buff it out. Like I put some right here and it was just kind of a lot. And if you have very fair skin and you want to bronze very lightly, I think this would be a good one. But for me, it just isn't enough. It takes too long in general. And then if I load it up too much, it goes on patchy. So, you know, for a certain kind of person, I think this is great. But for my needs and my preferences, this one doesn't get used. And this one's been in storage, and like the storage where I don't ever take it out. Okay, and then I'm going to show you my Kebble brush. This is the only Kebble brush I got, and I think this was in one of my first orders. And I kind of maybe wish I tried a smaller style. I have the J6051, yeah, 6051, and this is kind of their medium Kebble brush. They have some that are really small and they have some that are very long. And just in case you didn't know, it's a kind of a, there's different lengths of hairs, kind of like a dual fiber, except there's no synthetic in this one. If you are looking at a Kebble brush, a white haired Kebble brush, just look at the materials, because I believe a lot of these are made with synthetic now. When I got this one, they pretty much, most of them weren't. They're either goat hair or synthetic, but I do think this is one of the styles that they've mixed synthetic in with most of them. I'm going to show you guys how this works with highlighter. Use the Dior Forever Coral Glow because I have it's very spring, it's very summery feeling today. So I actually did use it for powder for the first time, and I kind of liked it for that. So let me show you it with highlighter. And I know this, I didn't put highlighter on, but because I went outside and it's so hot today, my face just instantly started sweating. How do I make it so that, okay, there. And this very lightly will apply product. So if you want a very subtle highlighted look, I think this would be a good one. I believe I've used it for blush and that works well too. But, you know, unless you're very fair, you're gonna have to build up the pigment. But with these brushes, you don't have to worry, at least this size, you don't have to worry about lifting what you have, your base makeup, because they're so flexible. And I know I said I wasn't going to, but I might put another order in, and I might try one made of squirrel hair, or like a different type of Kebble brush, because I do really appreciate, you know, being able to do this and not having to worry about any of my foundation being messed up. And it's kind of hard to find, but you know, this type of brush, the G5537 and the G5538, these are my Hakuhodo brushes that are on the long floppier side. And this one is probably the one I'm not going to use as much. I've used this one a lot in the past, and I'm really enjoying this one, but I'm not going to really highly recommend it because I've really only had it for like a week, and I haven't even washed this one. But I do think if that's the kind of brush you're looking for, this type, this one might be better, the 5538, the G5538. But it just depends on, you know, the kind of brush you like. If you like angled brushes, I mean, these are very angled. And I'm not a very good person to recommend a Pebble brush because I only have one and I've hardly ever used it. So I don't want to like encourage or discourage a Pebble brush because they have like 50 different styles. So I'm just not very knowledgeable about this shape of brush. Okay, I hope that showed you guys how it did. So that, yeah, the highlighter went on very subtle. Like I'm looking in this mirror and yeah, it's very, very subtle, which I like, especially a day like this when I'm gonna start sweating instantly. I don't necessarily want to start off with a lot of shine going on, but you know, very unique. So if you're trying to find something that you can't necessarily find anywhere else, I would say this shape is pretty unique, and as well as this one, and that was a main reason why I got it now. These just aren't styles that a lot of companies make. So that's one of the wonderful things about Hakuhodo is they have something for everyone. They have every shape you can imagine, from the itty bittiest brush, you know, to the biggest, densest brushes. You know, they have, you know, really something for everyone. So I wanted to show you guys those brushes that I rarely talk about and rarely use. And it helps me to kind of get to know brushes that I haven't picked up for a long time. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.